This is Season 2, Episode 6 of the Steady Trade Podcast. Today we are tiptoeing around Steven's burning bush to give you the top 10 commandments for keeping it steady. This is also the final 6-episode season of Steady Trade. We will just have regular weekly episodes from this point forward. We're also still giving away MacBook Pro, free subscriptions to StocksToTrade, a tragically realistic Steven Johnson pillowcase if Steven doesn't decide just to keep them all for himself, and a bunch of other cool stuff. And don't forget to take the surveys and write an iTunes review. We will be selecting our winners on Tuesday, December 12th. And now, the 10 commandments of keeping it steady. No actual bushes were burned in the making of this episode. Welcome back to the final episode of Season 2 of the Steady Trade Podcast. We've accomplished a lot in this season, a lot of stuff that Steven and I are very proud of. We've done we've kind of took a little bigger, kind of more elaborate approach this season. We brought you a little bit of history with Jesse Livermore, a bunch of great trader interviews, especially with maybe the two most, I would say, impressive or stratospheric moving traders right now. So make sure you check out those last episodes with Roland Ducks. They were great. Those guys are great to talk to and very inspirational. And then we also got into kind of what I would call the market mechanics a little bit, where we broke down pump and dumps, how they work, etc. So a lot of great episodes there. We're having a blast with these, and this is the final episode of Season 2. So as of today, we've got a big announcement. We've talked about it all season, but tomorrow, if you're listening to this episode the day it came out, tomorrow is the day we are going to be drawing the winners for this year's prizes. So that will be tomorrow, December 12th, noon Eastern, between noon and 1 p.m. Eastern, we will be calling for our winners of this season's awards. Remember, we've talked about it a lot, but we got a bunch of great prizes. MacBook Pros, Apple Watches, a bunch of great stuff, as well as subscriptions to StocksToTrade and StocksToTrade Pro. So remember, if you're hearing this on December 11th, tomorrow, December 12th, noon Eastern, have your phone handy. We basically, what we do a random number generator. We get a bunch of names, we call them, and if you don't pick up, we start going to alternates until we get somebody to answer. We had a great time calling all the winners last season, but it bummed me out. We did have to go to some of the alternates because some of the primary winners didn't answer their phone. So remember, December 12th, tomorrow, noon Eastern, if you're listening to this the day it came out. Also, before we get started and I bring on Steven, we are actually going to, we've had a fun doing kind of the season's kind of philosophy, I guess you would call it. But we are going to start moving away from that, and we will actually now be publishing weekly episodes on Mondays.
Yes, weekly Monday episodes without any season breaks.
As well as holding live events on Fridays.
Eventually, but not quite yet.
We will have more details coming soon, but we're kind of excited. The podcast has done very well.
It has done okay.
We appreciate all of your comments. Love the comments on the blog. Love the comments on YouTube. Again, make sure to write your iTunes review to get the bonus entries for the drawing.
Man, this Bowen guy can talk.
But a lot of the comments, it's funny, as 90% of the comments were positive, and the 10% of the comments that were neutral or negative were mostly people saying, we don't want the break. We don't want you guys to go away between seasons. So we've decided to listen to the listeners, and we're going to go to this weekly model going forward. So excited to do that as well, starting on Mondays, every Monday. And then we're also going to be doing live events on Fridays.
Eventually, but not quite yet.
We'll get more details to follow on that. So
that's
go ahead, Stephen. You're here. Stephen, it's like
I'm here as well. Sometimes I don't show up.
I've got him on the webcam, and normally I there's usually 8 to 10 empty beer bottles on his desk, and I never really know if he's half asleep or if he's paying attention. So I just keep talking until he wakes up. So go ahead, Stephen. Now that you woke up.
It's pretty funny because some people will be like, oh, they're just doing advertising. The pitching Stephen is the person who's drunk and doesn't show up sometimes. But the actual truth is I'm actually drunk and don't show up sometimes. It's actually the I didn't even show up yesterday for the recording. I did show up, but I was drunk for it. And it's not lying. I literally, if you watch my Instagram feed, I was really wasted. I just couldn't record. So sometimes I am drunk, and maybe that should be a lesson to everybody that you can have your downfalls. You can not be perfect, but as long as you put the hours in, you can still get somewhere.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's I remember back in the day, again, our friend Tim Sykes, who we've talked to a few times. He was a little wilder back before he turned 30. And
really?
he used to do quite frequently. He would do like drunk trading webinars. So he's kind of matured beyond that, But.
That's good. So there is hope for me, because a lot of the video lessons that I do on YouTube are just hungover and drunk. So there is hope for me, and the podcasts are drunk as well.
In honor of Steven Johnson, let's play an unofficial steady trade drinking game. Unless you are driving, take a drink every time Bowen says ironic or ironically.
So there is hope that I will mature.
Well, it's ironic.
There it is.
That you bring up, flaws and trying to improve and be a better person and a better trader, because ultimately none of us are perfect. There is no perfect human in the world. There is no perfect trader in the world. We're all about the evolution and getting better. And it's ironic.
Take a drink.
You bring that up when the topic of today's episode is the 10 commandments of being a successful day trader.
I know we've got 10 commandments that we've both agreed on, but I just want to throw one into the spanner works, and that's it. Thou should trade it drunk if he has success with it. Because I would argue that I've been a better drunk trader than a sober trader, honestly. And I am better drunk than sober. Again, I'm not necessarily
advising Steven's strategy, but I will say this.
I'm selling a course. I'll teach you how to do it.
and basically, yeah, as long as you're buying, as long as the attendee is buying, Steven will teach you all night long, man.
The only condition is the alcohol's got to be over 40%, and you've got to be really drunk, and then we'll start trading, and we'll just wake up tomorrow and see what happens, see what the balance is.
But yeah, while I would never necessarily endorse Steven's strategy, I do say literally every day in StocksToTrade Pro, I say do what works and stick with it. I say people probably get sick of hearing me say wash, rinse, repeat. But man, if you're buying breakouts and it's working, just keep buying breakouts. I mean, if you're short and faders and it's working 60-70% of the time, why would you want to do anything else? If
don't fix it if it's not broken. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you found something that's working consistently, keep it steady, baby. Just like we say with the Steady Trade podcast. Keep doing
baby. I can do the best Austin Powers impression. Let us just do this while we're on air. Do I make you horny, baby? Do I? Do I make you randy? Do I, baby? Why don't we go to the back and shag Vanessa?
Oh, behave. Yeah.
It's amazing that a guy with a British accent could do that bad of an Austin Powers impersonation.
I've lived away for a while, but it's still kind of good. It's still kind of good.
You'd think you'd be good at it, considering you were British.
No, but honestly, I just have to say that I don't. With me being, we'll go on to the 10 commandments. We'll have to, but just to say that I work in the evenings. Like I work during the day 9 till 7. I trade 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 in the night times. So sometimes, not during the week because I have work the next day, but on the weekend, on a Thursday or a Friday, I'll have a glass of wine at 7, 8 o'clock while I'm trading. And honestly, they're my best days. So while I don't advocate trading drunk, sometimes it works. Just saying.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I guess I could maybe, again, I talk about always, and actually one of our 10 commandments is having that growth mindset and being willing to experiment. I have not tried it, but being in the Eastern time zone, are you recommending that I start drinking at like 8 a.m.? Is that how I? How do I implement this strategy? Help me out.
I would say just don't go to bed and drink from the evening with the evening meal.
Okay.
Just don't go to bed.
I guess maybe we could. We're talking about these live events. Maybe one of these Fridays we'll try that.
Eventually, but not quite yet.
All right. Well, we'll talk about it. But all right, let's. So basically, what we've got is For me, the market is very chaotic. There's a lot of variables in it. It's very hard to narrow down into different variables. And whenever we say variables, people are like, what do you mean variables? It's tough to narrow it down, and it's tough to put a scientific formula to it. But we've given it our best shot. We've got the 10 commandments of steady trading for the Steady Trade podcast. If you adhere to 1, 2, 3 of them, you'll improve a bit. If you adhere to 5, 6, 7, you'll improve a bit more. And if you adhere to all 10, there is no reason not to be a profitable trader, I would argue.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these. When we put together this list, it was a collaboration. Basically,
most of yours I disagree with, but it was kind of a collaboration.
That's true. But hey, that's ultimately,
if you stick to my points, you'll do well. If you stick to my points, you'll do well. If you listen to Tim's, although he's a salty old veteran, it's up to you. If you want to learn old habits from an old person, then. But if you want to just learn the new way,
but great things can happen in the intersection of ideas. I obviously America, the greatest country that left you behind, Stephen. We were founded.
Biggest mistake of your history.
We were founded on a democracy. Now we won't get into politics. We won't.
Biggest mistake of your history.
we won't get into politics on the podcast, but whether or not we actually have a functioning democracy in 2017 is maybe a different question. But we were founded on a democracy and the exchange of ideas, and that is what has made America great for hundreds of years and the greatest country in the world, which is why we left Stephen behind. But
I'll send Tony Blair over. And he will fix things in the next few years. But 10 commandments, they're in no particular order, I guess. I think, Tim, this commandment is your first one if you want to read it out.
Yeah, ultimately I think this is the foundation of any trading related list, and the first commandment of steady trade is thou shalt create a daily trading plan. So do you adhere to commandment number 1?
We've been through this in season 1. I'm purely a gut instinct guy. I'm very much I see something, I react to it, and that's me. We've talked about the lions in the jungle. I'm still that lion, baby.
Now let's but let's discuss this. Do you, whether or not you necessarily follow this strategy, do you agree with at least the concept of it? Again, as a you're getting up there in experience. I mean, you've been around for 15 months actively day trading at this point.
Yep.
As a new trader, which many of our listeners are, do you recommend having the gut feel or trading with a plan?
No, I'm being a little bit silly because I just watched Austin Powers the other night and I can't get groovy baby out of my mind. But no, honestly, it becomes second nature to a degree, and it's difficult to tell people to make a plan because like it's like fireworks going off in your head once you've done it over and over and over. So me being short biased, I'll see a stock spiking. I'll look at its 2-year resistance. I'll quickly look at its cash, and I'll know instantly. I'll be like, this stock's a bad company. It's coming to a resistance point. It's had 3 big green spikes. It's not had any consolidation in between those spikes. So there's no support level for breakout buyers to buy off, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And I'm instantly, it's a short, and that is a plan. So I have
exactly,
a plan.
And that's where again. If you were, which I'm glad you're not, but if you were in the same room as me, I would pat you on the back for that because you just laid out a plan.
I don't think it's a plan. I think it's a reaction.
I'd call it a plan. I think it's a plan. I mean, you went through 6 different criteria on what makes you want to trade a plan or trade a stock.
Or I mean, I like to think of it as a reaction. I don't think of it as a plan. I think losers make. I think old people make plans. I think losers make plans. I think people in the modern age react, and they react fast. We're in a lightning paced data environment, baby.
And as we talked earlier, we made a plan to record the podcast, and then Stephen got drunk, and he did show up. I'll give him that. He did show up.
Yeah, but I was drunk as shit. Yeah,
even though.
But I wasn't denying it though. I was messaging you guys. I was like, guys, I'm drunk as shit, and I had a client meeting. It's not like I was making fun. If I didn't have this job, I would not have been drunk. Not this job, the other job. But tell me a plan then. What's the plan? Because for me, it's a reaction.
Well, and again, we've talked about a lot in season 1. If you haven't checked that out, listen to it. One of my favorite episodes was the trade plan episode. But the biggest thing there's always the three components of any trade plan. Has to be a solid entry. What is your entry, long or short? What is a good entry? I mean, again,
risk off, right? To risk off.
Exactly. Are you buying that breakout, or are you buying that dip? Are you shorting that spike? Are you shorting the breakdown on a red to green move? Okay. But there should be some sort of logic behind the entry. If you're just, again, I bash this all the time, but if you see some ticker on Twitter or some ticker in a chat room and that's your reason to entry, that is not. You're not going to be successful doing that. You got to
react to Twitter. I react to me.
To me. And you're basing that on your experience. So.
But just say, for example, that you're buying a breakout, and make it simple. Like, for example, you're buying a breakout. So your plan is the first thing that comes to mind is you have to risk, right? What's your risk off? So you don't buy a breakout that's that you think, well, what will I risk? And if the breakout, so you have to have lots of consolidation. This is what loads of people don't do. They don't look for the consolidation that they can risk off. They just chase it up.
And that's where, and a great point, because a lot of people will say, and obviously, again, buying breakouts works. There's plenty of traders that's all they do. But you'll hear people say, well, buying breakouts doesn't work because they've got bad entries. I mean, again, your very good point. If there's consolidation, that gives you a point to risk off of. If there is no consolidation, if there is no support, those are the trades. They spike, they drop, they stop you out. And yeah, exactly. It's a stuff move. You hear that term a lot. Or, ultimately, a lot of the times they'll work, but because of the fact that you didn't have a good entry based off of support, they're whippy and they stop you out. So you have to have a logical entry. We'll talk about that a lot over the episodes of these podcasts. We'll talk about a lot on the Friday live sessions too. And then you have to have a stop. I always, again, Stephen Ducks, we talked about this a little bit in the interview, but I remember Stephen's presentation at the conference this year. And one of the first points he said, and I almost wanted to jump up and yell, but Stephen was kind of nervous up there. I didn't want to disturb him, but he said he always thinks about what he can lose on this trade. He thinks about that first. You have to always focus on your risk and what you're willing to lose, whether that be $50, $100, $5,000. You have to have a number or a price, that you're gonna stop out at.
Yeah, and it's mental, and we could go on and on and on and on, but it just comes down to patience. There's some quote from that old guy, I forgot his name, Warren Buffett, and he's like, the people with the patience take the money from the people who don't have patience, whatever the quote is. But if you refuse to buy until it hits until it hits the support or the resistance level, if you refuse to buy until it hits that level, then your stop is 1 or 2 cents if it breaks. And your profit is 10, 15, 20, 30 cents if it breaks out. It's just mental, but people don't realize this. It's mental.
And then that's, again, I love how you keep proving me right. Again, what did you just do there? You just laid out an entry, you laid out a stop, and you laid out a goal. Okay. Those are the three things that make up commandment number 1. You got to have a logical entry. You got to have a predefined stop. And then you set your goal, and especially in volatile stocks. I mean, again, Stephen, you've been very aggressively shorting recently, but you've had a goal where you take your profits. And I've seen a lot of these tickers, later in the day, the next day they're back at the highs. And I'm like, damn,
not just any highs, 52-week highs, 52-week highs.
I tell you, I'm starting to think about my contrarian indicator when Steven's in the stock. And again, you've been doing very well. You've been doing well. But what I love about what you're doing is you're hitting your goal, you're taking your profits. But then these stocks, especially the last couple of weeks, they're
running a bull market. Of course. But the thing is, though, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, but when a stock cracks, obviously shorts are piling in, and shorts are piling in, and everyone who's long is panic selling, right? So you know that the momentum's on your side, but as soon as you get the double bottom, as soon as you get the higher low, the first higher low, the first double bottom, it's obviously a trend reversal. So for me, I get out before everyone else gets out, and generally that's the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been the secret to the tiny moderate success that I've had so far.
And we'll talk about short selling a lot in future episodes, but that's, again, you're basically, not to use too much mumbo jumbo jargon, but you're basically you're covering into the wash. That's the idea.
Cover the wash.
Yep,
hope for 2 washes in a row. Hope for 2 washes.
When you're in volatile stocks, you get that quick move to the downside. You take your profits, you move on, and you take your gains and you head to the pub just like Steven does.
But but hey, it's 8, 10, 12% gains. It's not small gains. It's not small gains. I'm talking 8, 10% if you catch the top and the bottom.
Yep.
But we've established a plan. The importance of having a plan. I thought about calling it a reaction. But a reaction is processing the plan really quickly when you've done it a lot of times. So arguably, we're both right. The second commandment is not just that thou should have a plan, but thou should follow the plan. And I have been guilty. I did it just last week. The worst story of my life, I'll tell you. But yeah, I mean, do you want to introduce this, and then I'll put it into context what goes wrong when you don't follow the plan?
Well, yeah. And actually, yeah, if you've got a great example, perfect. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, my favorite example of this, and I have seen it a million times, is, most of us are day traders. Most of the listeners are day traders. I mean, we will, swing trade and maybe even invest over multiple longer periods, but the majority of us are day traders. And the classic example of breaking commandment number 2 is you say, I'm going to day trade this stock. I'm going to be in and out quick. Yeah. Then the trade doesn't work. It breaks your stop, and then you turn it into a swing trade. And next thing you know, you said, I'm going to be in and out of this thing today. Next thing you know, you're holding it tomorrow, the next day. Meanwhile, it's going down 2%, 5%, 2%. And now, not only have you taken a way bigger loss than you planned on, you've, again, screwed yourself up mentally. You've hated life. Every day sucks because every day you open up your platform and you see the same ticker. And I tell you, the mental draining, it's not just draining your account, it's draining your emotion and your mental state. So that is by far the number one, example of breaking commandment 2. If it's a day trade, it's a day trade. Never turn a short-term day trade that's not working into a swing trade.
And honestly, like if you think I'm going to get out if it breaks consolidation, either way, up, short, or long, I mean, I don't mind the fact of thinking, do you know what it is? It broke, but it might pop back. Fair enough. Give it an extra few seconds. See if it does pop back. Because sometimes they break and then they come back. But never let it wash and then wash again. Like never. If it doesn't pop back straight away, just cut it. And my example of the mental torture that I experienced was, and this is a mental story. So basically, the biggest loss I probably took this year was it was $180. I just put it on Profitly the other day, and it worked out okay because I'd won 180 the day before, so they balanced each other out. But the $180 loss was the biggest loss pretty much of this year. And what happened was I just opened an account with a new broker, and I thought, BBG. It's a strong stock. It's an earnings winner. It's a multi-month breakout. It hasn't got resistance. It's in the 630s. It hasn't got resistance till the 720s. So it's not a short at all. But I just thought, you know what it is? It's a new broker. There's borrows available with this broker. I'm just going to try and short it so I can get used to the platform. And it looks a bit overextended, so it'll probably come down. And then something creeped in my mind psychologically where I thought, despite every single indicator saying that this is a bullish setup, everyone, earnings winner, multi-month breakout, no resistance ahead, quite big volume. I was thinking, when I shorted it, and I was like, you know what it is? I don't want to take a loss
Yep.
With this broker account, because it's the first trade I've made there, I've put $1,500 in. I wanted the brokerage account to increase, not decrease.
Sure.
So I thought, I'm not going to cut it. And then I added. And then I thought, you know what it is? It's got to come down. It didn't come down. I was like, it's got to come down. It didn't come down. I ended up holding this stupid shit stock for 4 days. And then I took a $180 loss on it. Just got out of it last night. And I was like, I could have got out for a $30 loss.
Mm-hmm.
And I shouldn't have been in it in the first place.
Yeah, and again, actually, it's the great segue, Stephen. For once in a while, I mean, you only bat you only bat about you only get a hit like 1 out of 10 times. But great segue, because actually, commandment number 3 is thou shalt forsake thine impulses to violate thine plan. And what did you do exactly there? You gave me like 5 reasons why BBG was like a great buy, but yet you still shorted it for
more. Added
and added, yeah, simply because of bad impulses. Okay,
I just didn't want to take the loss. I did not want to take a loss on the first.
Well,
trade.
but also think about what you said. You didn't want to take the loss because it was a first trade at a new broker.
Exactly. I'm not losing. I'm not losing.
And I'm not saying I'm not making, trust me. I mean, I make mistakes every day. And, again, I always say, if anybody tells you, I always joke about that Homer Simpson meme where Homer backs into the bushes. If you ever hear anybody say that they are perfect in trading, back into the bushes and run away as fast as you can. I make mistakes every day as well. But, think about why you weren't taking that loss. What does it matter if it's a new brokerage account in the grand scheme of things?
It's just dumb shit.
You may make,
but you make dumb shit mistakes though. People make stupid mistakes.
Yep.
And
but that is why you shall forsake thine impulses to violate thine plan.
I'm going straight to hell. I'm going straight to hell. I'm going straight to hell because I'm breaking every one of these commandments. And when I'm not breaking the commandments, I don't even show up because I'm drunk as shit and I don't even come. So I am going to hell. I'm going to be with Satan.
And actually, so what I would, and this is another one I'd like you to talk about, commandment number 4, because I think you do a very, between the YouTube videos and spreadsheets and everything, I think you do, here's your one compliment of the day. You only get one, but you do a great job with commandment number 4. Thou shalt journal all of thine experiences, take lessons from their winners as well as losers. And I think, a lot of people might be listening to the podcast because of your YouTube channel. I greatly respect what you have done by recording everything, doing vlogs, basically, a video journal of your journey, recording all your trades in spreadsheets, recording all your trades in Profitly. So I think that one of the reasons you have started to turn the corner a year in is exactly because you are very good at following commandment number 4.
No, definitely. And I just have to say, I never thought that I was going to say this, but it's a very good opportunity to say it now that the situation's come up. It's a credit to the guys at StocksToTrade, to you and to Sykes, because I was making these videos and I lost consistently for over 1 year. But StocksToTrade retweeted every video. Tim Sykes retweeted every video to his 500,000 followers or whatever. He was retweeting my losing videos. And I think that's testament to you guys. You guys had trust in your learning. You had trust in the program that you were offering. And you said, even though this kid is losing, I believe in our resources as an education platform that this guy will be profitable because we've got the right education. He's got the right discipline. It'll come good. And you guys trusted us. And a lot of my coming profitable is because you guys trusted me, because it's a blind corner sometimes when you're learning and you're losing.
Yeah, I mean, and Sykes and I have talked about it here and there. And again, one of the reasons I was retweeting and he was retweeting is because, we saw that you were committed, and plain and simple, we wanted to encourage you. We're like, hey, here's this guy that is, he says he's gonna do this for, a year. I can't remember when you first announced how long you said you were gonna do it, or maybe you said forever. But we're like, hey, he's committing to this. He's saying, I'm going to try this. I'm going to see if it works. And I'm going to journal it all on a vlog, basically. So we were both like, damn it, we need to encourage this, because one of the things that, as a mentor in Stocks to Trade Pro, and obviously Sykes is the same way. I mean, we want to see people successful, and that is ultimately the goal of everything we ever. That's what we're doing with the podcast here. Is
it's
I would love
95% lose. 95% of traders lose, though. For you guys to openly market someone who's losing when 95 in an industry when 95% of traders lose, it's pretty mental. It's pretty bold, I would say.
Well, and again, that's ironic.
That's right. I'm looking at you.
Because I mean, you'll never see, well, not never, but very seldom do you see any other service promoting somebody with a losing track record. Yeah.
No one. And I'm so proud to be associated with it. This God, I don't want this to turn into a marketing thing, but this is what sets Stocks to Trade Sykes apart, because you guys trust in the education, you trust in the process, and you know that if someone works hard enough, they'll get it. But you have to work hard enough. That's the key. That's what no one does.
And actually, that brings up commandment number 5: Thou shalt not neglect thine physical and mental health.
Does this include drinking?
Well, that's yeah. So let me set it up, and then we'll talk about how you violate this one constantly. So
and go to hell. Trade to hell.
I got my bowl here. This thing kind of looks like, I mean,
that's who I'll be hanging out with in hell.
I was going to say this.
So many times.
It's funny. It's supposed to be a bull, but this bull mask looks oddly satanic. It kind of scares me at times. But
I would not have that in my room when I was going to bed. You will be having nightmares. You've got it on the wall as well, though.
Yeah. So, something that I think that is often overlooked. I mean, trading is stressful. It is very energy consuming. I mean,
only if you be stupid.
Well, true. Yeah, it's funny how it's funny how you can make a couple bad trades, and it's like the end of the trading day, and you felt like
I quit.
And you fall asleep at 4:15 or something. But I think to be successful, you need to optimize yourself mentally and physically. And I think, not to get too hippy dippy, but I mean, the mind, is built on the body. And if you want to have energy, if you want to have discipline, if you want to be able to make the best decisions, I mean, you need to exercise, eat right, do something. I'm not going to turn into some, Instagram model selling fit tea commercial here, but do something physical every day. Whatever phase you're in, walk. Okay, you can always walk. You can.
I think a lot of successful traders are just sniffing cocaine all the time. I don't honestly I think a lot of successful traders are sniffing coke, drinking heavily, and just living the dream.
I guess, and that's where we'll differ, because obviously everybody knows I'm the family man. So, we did review Wolf of Wall Street. And if you want to end up like Leonardo DiCaprio's character, hopped up on Quaaludes, driving your Lamborghini in a telephone pole with your 3-year-old son in the car, then yes, doing coke, if that's living the dream, baby.
I mean, just FYI, I do not sniff cocaine, and it's especially out in Dubai because I'll get me hand chopped off. So cocaine and trading is not something that I do for sure. But I would just argue that there's a lot of people who sniff cocaine who are successful traders. I don't know any of them, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, you've heard about it. So anyway,
we're gonna differ on this. But obviously, if you're just starting out and learning, a clear head is better.
Sure. And again, energy. I think, a lot of, again, I'll get comments whenever I do I'll do a 2-hour webinar, and people will be like, geez, you were, high energy the whole way through. First of all, I drink a ridiculous amount of coffee, but, a lot of that is, I really try and take care of my health. And I think that is very important, because even though trading may not be physically demanding, you need to have a clear head. You need to have high energy. You need to take care of yourself to be successful.
But have you ever thought though? I mean, if you have this level of high energy of coffee, imagine you just did a couple of lines of cocaine.
I'll let you test that, especially in where you live right now, and we'll see how that works out for you.
I mean, how much better would the webinars be in the morning if you just did like 3 lines of cocaine? You would be like, oh my God, this sucked. It would be, and had coffee. Like, I'm just saying it might be twice as good. That's all I'm saying.
The Steady Trade podcast in no way endorses the use of cocaine. Get back on track, Stephen. Sheesh.
Yeah, I'll leave that up to you. So, which actually back to, we'll move on to the next commandment, but back to taking care of the physical health. I seem to remember.
We should.
I seem to remember somebody calling me out on Instagram about how he was going to beat my rowing speed by Halloween, and
I don't think I said Halloween. Did I say Halloween?
You said October 31st. I don't forget these things. So you were going to beat me by October 31st on the rowing machine. I think it was the 500 kilometer time. Or no, 2,000 kilometer or 2,000 meter. 2,000.
Yeah, it was 2K. Yep. 2,000, whatever.
And so how did that turn out? I don't remember seeing any stats the last couple of weeks.
What happened to us? There is a reason why I didn't achieve this, because normally I'm very good at sticking to what I'm doing. Yeah, I guess I just failed. And
so you failed to beat a I'm like 78 years old, and I can still beat you on the rowing machine.
You look 78, but you're not 78. You're more like 48. You're like 38. How old are you, by the way? 48? 50? You're like
43. Jeez.
43? Oh, you're a young man. I'm not far off you. I look really unhealthy because I drink too much. But are you really only 13 years older than me?
Yeah, I'm 43. Yes. So.
Shit. So it's because you're on that paleo diet, right? You're on that. You're eating Diaz and shit. You're eating Diaz that you hunted in the wild. But it's obviously good for you because you look pretty young, and that's the compliment. But so we are on don't neglect your physical and mental health. Definitely. BGG. When I was in that trade, I drank half a bottle to a bottle of a wine. That was, and I just couldn't cut the loss because I was drunk and stubborn. But. So sometimes you do stupid shit when you're drunk. And do you remember Sykes had a video as well where he was doing shots of tequila?
Yep. I mean, I don't remember all the details, but I do remember him doing that. Yeah.
So just basically go running, don't eat bad shit, don't eat McDonald's, and try and not be drunk when you're trading.
I have not ate.
A lot of Americans smoke weed.
I have not ate at any fast food restaurant since 2009. By the way,
do you not want some bread right now though? Like you're on the paleo diet, right? Do you not
basically? Yeah.
You know what? Like if I offered you a slice of bread right now and said, "Yeah, have some bread," would you not just take it?
I wouldn't. If you made me, I would eat it, but I would opt out of it. Yes.
But what if I was Jesus and I was the Last Supper and I'd say, "This bread is my body"? Then would you eat it?
Yes, I would. Yes. So, yep.
Okay, let's not get religious. This will get cut.
So back to being religious, we'll move on to commandment number 6, which is thou shalt be consistent each day. And to me, what this means is, and I think this is very applicable to part-time traders. I mean, a lot of you guys and gals are new. You have jobs, you have school, you have families, maybe you have all three. But I think that one of the things that got me to the consistent level is even back when I was a part-time trader, I had a business. You guys may have heard me talk about this in the past. Every day, even if I knew I was busy, and I was going to be, say, on the road, visiting clients, whatever, every day I would get up and build a watch list. I would look at the gainers from the day before. I would read the news. I would print out charts back when I got started. I'd print out charts, write on them, then see what they did at the end of the day. But every day, even when I didn't have to, okay, I was a business owner. I didn't have to study charts every day. I still did it every single day.
And that's what I would say as well. It's I always when you've got a full-time job, it's sometimes difficult. Maybe some people have got kids and stuff like that, so it's very difficult to put 5 hours in, put 7 hours in, put 8 hours in every day. But honestly, if you put a solid 2 hours in every day, then you should definitely see a major improvement within, I don't know, like 10 months. And obviously, if you put 4 hours in a day, you'll probably see a major improvement in 6 months. But that doesn't matter. Like, if you can only put two in, you'll still get there. It'll just take a little bit longer. But it's not like you're going to fail. As long as you consistently put the hours in, you'll get there.
Yeah, and I think, and again, this is, commandment number 6 is very applicable to our 2 guests that we had this season. I mean, when you talk about consistency and studying, I mean, Roland, Duck studies like crazy, but even Roland, he told the story of he'd put webinars on his dash, and he would sit there and drive around the block for an hour and a half while watching webinars. That is consistency. That is what creates success.
But honestly, like if I was as dedicated to studying as I was to drinking, I would be one hot shit trader. But I'm not. But it's true.
But there you go. It's like I think what is the saying?
You make your own luck.
Feed the wolf, I think is what it is. I think The Rock uses that one, but it's like, the wolf you feed is the one that grows, and if that is your trading, if you're feeding that, putting your money into it, putting your time into it, putting your effort into it, then your trading wolf is going to grow. If you're like Steven and you're feeding the booze wolf, then hey, you'll be very consistent. You'll be very consistent at that. So
yeah, that's some deep shit. That's some deep shit. And the other one that I like is the hotter that you work, the luckier you get.
There you go. Perfect. Yep.
And that's the number one. And luck favors the brave as well. All of these quotes stand the test of time, and they all stand the test of time for a reason, and that's because they're true.
And that's a great, again, not a bad lead in. Again, it's almost like you were paying attention. Yeah.
Well, we didn't rehearse.
Yeah. Listeners might think we actually prepare for this. But yeah.
No, this is not planned at all. I barely speak to Tim Bourne. He's like, I'm not talking to you, Stephen. I'm not talking to you. Well, I'll talk to you when we have to do the podcast, but we are not having conversations above. You can watch the Steady Trade Pro, but we are not having any conversation.
But that was a great segue into Commandment 7, which is thou shalt continue to study and learn. I talk about having a growth mindset. I did a webinar today, actually, and some people asked me, what are you doing? Here you are, this 10-year veteran, and I had them right on my desk. I've got 4 trading books that I've got queued up. I'm halfway through 2 of them. I've got 2 more stacked up. I don't care if I've been a challenge, a Tim Sykes challenge member since before the challenge was around. I don't care if I've been studying every book, doing webinars, studying every platform. You are never done. The markets are always changing. Even with, my 10 years of experience, I'm still reading trading books every day.
And that's the game. This is what I love the most. And I work in the creative industry. The creative industry is the same. It's like, how can you take a brand and where it wants to go and put the 2 together and make a creative idea? And the stock market's very similar. It's like, how can you identify what behaviors, what new behaviors are emerging and jump on them before anyone else does? And it's like a constant game of who can spot the next big pattern first. Or when will you realize that your current pattern doesn't work anymore?
Right.
And it's so mumuch fun, but you've got to be willing to adapt and change. And if you don't, you'll perish like a drunk alcoholic.
It is interesting, though. I love the way you put it. You said it's so much fun, because it's interesting that a lot of people, not that I'm trying to turn anyone. Obviously I want as many listeners as we can get, but if you don't like the idea, a lot of people aren't like that. A lot of people, they just want to show up to the job every day, do the same thing, come home, watch the same shows, go to bed, and not be growing and evolving. And if that is you, there's nothing wrong with that, but trading is not for you. You need to, just like Steven said, it needs to be exciting to you.
Not the money.
Yeah. Tomorrow, what you're doing today might not work, and you're going to have to learn something different tomorrow. And and it's always changing. It's always a moving target, and you are never done. You're never done.
And it was cool that you had us on the Stocks to Trade Pro guest webinar, even though you got us up at 4 a.m., but that's a different story. It was cool that you got us on the Stocks to Trade Pro webinar, and we went through the Excel, and filling in the numbers on the Excel is boring. It's not the funnest thing. I'm like, oh, God, I've got to fill it in again. But the findings, like finding out, the most interesting thing about trading is when you trade, all of your human impulses and body impulses tell you, I should do this, I should do that, and I should do this. But when you track the data on the Excel, it actually says, well, actually, you probably should be doing the opposite because the data says so, and data doesn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
And making those findings is extremely enjoyable. And you've got to be in it for that reason, for making the discoveries, for being a scientist, for coming up with strategies to find out new things. This is the fun, not the money. The money shouldn't be the primary goal.
Mm-hmm. And then a great way, I think, to accomplish that, and it's one of the great things that I love about the conferences. One of the things I love about the community in Stocks to Trade Pro, the community at Profitly, the community at Steady Trade is, I think, one of the drawbacks of trading is it's very solitary. It's just you, your computer, and a bunch of alcohol. Well, that's true, yeah. But I guess if that's your friend, but I think there's great value. So let me go with commandment number 8: Thou shalt befriend and interact with other traders. I think there is immense value in getting a trading buddy, getting a trading mentor, maybe a trading group. I remember actually at the conference this year in Orlando, it was cool. It was a bunch of young guys. What were they called? They were like
I remember this. I remember these guys.
Man, they were great guys.
They were making a lot of money.
And they were
killing it.
Yeah, and they crap, I can't remember.
I know who you mean.
Yep, they had a cool logo and stuff.
Team.
Yep, yeah. And they approached it as a team where it was like 3 guys. They would bounce ideas off of each other, and then they would only make the trade if basically they all said, yeah, this is a good trade. And, they were young guys. They could hang out. They could do that. But, I mean, one of the things I think that, that hopefully Steven doesn't get mad at me, but I think that one of the things that maybe has helped him, obviously he put in the time, he studied, he's 15 months into it. But the amazing thing is what's made me so happy, he's got 2 green months coming into this episode. He's found consistency. And I think a lot of that is because, him and I have been talking about trading every day. He's been talking to Roland about trading. He's friends with Roland. He's been interacting with these other traders, getting other ideas, and that is helping him grow as well. So don't make it solitary. Reach out to others. Yeah. Find a mentor. Whether that be something like Stocks to Trade Pro or Tim Sykes Challenge, but don't try and go it alone. Don't try and do it blind.
Yeah, no, and I feel bad. I don't feel bad. I'm very happy about it, but I'm like, because my YouTube channel did well, I guess I got little privileges here and there. I got some extra time with you, and it was nice that I went out for the Market Mastery and I met Roland. And when I met Roland and I said, Roland, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing the other, he was like, well, why are you doing this? You need to do this, this, this. And he's like, why are you doing this? You need to do this, this, and this. And honestly, when I was out in Italy, that reshaped. I'll also attribute that was the major turning point for me. Mm-hmm. When I spent that few days with Roland and he helped us a lot. And I know I'm constantly going out like, oh, Roland this and Roland that, but honestly, the guy really helped. And that was because I was at the Market Mastery, and I'll always tell other people, go to the Market Mastery, because you'll network, you'll meet the right people, and you'll have long-lasting friends. And it's not just Roland, it's Joe, the Trading Swede. These are all cool guys who've helped. And the other thing is, for sure, this is a privilege that maybe other people won't get, and it's because of YouTube. And we've been together on the Steady Trade podcast. And when I'm interacting with day to day and saying, Tim, I'm in this, Tim, I'm in that, and you're like, why are you short a low float? Dude, that's a
basically,
really
you know, again,
strong motivating
you're
thought.
you know, I love that you're consistently profitable, but excuse my language, but I basically shit on every one of your trades. But
But that's what you have to do. You have to shit on every trade. But there's no reason why other people won't get that. I mean, I know in the Steady Trade podcast, you give one-to-ones. I don't know how often you do it. It's every week or every month you give one-to-ones to these guys, right?
Yep. So yeah, that's, you know, and that's again something that I think is very useful is that, you know, with Stocks to Trade Pro is that one-on-one, you know, mentorship opportunity, you know, and again, I think it's, you know, I mean, obviously it's just standard coaching. I mean, think about like Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady still has a coach. Okay. He's probably, well, I don't even know if probably is the right term. I'm sure he probably is the greatest quarterback of all time, but yet he still has a coach. He still has a coach. And I think that's a valuable point. So.
And I don't know shit about NFL or any of that stuff, but I'll always remember the story of Eli Manning. Was it Eli Manning? And he was one of the best quarterbacks, but he said, you know what it is? Might be a brilliant NFL player, but I'm going to coach my sons and mentor them to be even better than me and to go on and win championships.
Yep.
And both of his children went on to be world championship NFL players, and he coached them to that.
Yeah, that was actually you were close. It was Archie Manning was the dad, and then Eli and Peyton are his sons. But I only did fix that for you, not to rub it in. But you know how
Archie?
Archie
and I'm like Eli.
well, no, you just know that
You'll never win the Super Bowl, but I will.
But it's the internet, so you know we'll get like 500 comments about how Steven botched that, you know. So
I'll be like, thanks Tim for helping me become the trading millionaire. Thank you. No, but honestly, the important thing is don't get advice off random people. Get advice off someone with a proven track record, like Roland, like Tim Bourne, like Tim Sykes.
Exactly.
And because you can watch a million videos and it'll not click. You need someone to say. You need to say, I'm doing this, and you need someone to say this is not the right thing to do.
So commandment number 9 is thou shalt know thine tools and optimizeth them.
This is
That's
Shakespearean language.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't think I would do very well in Shakespeare play. I fluff the fifth too much.
You look a little bit like Macbeth. That is the worst joke of the whole podcast. But anyway, carry on.
but you know, the point here is, I think, you know, actually a good point is you touched on this earlier. You talked about wanting to place that trade at the new broker just so you knew how the broker worked, you know, which is, you know, I disagree with you for not taking the loss.
That was
but
$180 loss that took. One of the biggest losses this year.
I agree with you for testing the broker and, you know, and making that trade.
First.
Yes,
yeah, for sure. You
shouldn't have added to it, but yeah.
No, and I didn't just add once. I added like 10 times. I was up to about $6,000 in that. It was like it was like the dumbest trade I ever took. I was like $6,000. I was like $6,000 in it.
I didn't know that. Oh, we may have to end this podcast. I didn't realize. I thought you like added once. I didn't.
No, I did again and again and again. I was in it. I was in it about $6,000. But hey, I took a $180 loss, and it wasn't that volatile, and it was high float, low volume. It's not like I was $6,000 in a low float. I lost. Hey, and the money I lost, I won back yesterday. So that's the thing. Like losing, I don't know if I can swear, but losing sucks bad. But the thing is, like once you consistently start to win, losing is still bad because you're mad at yourself that you made a mistake, but it's nowhere near as bad as when you're losing consistently.
Yeah, and I talked about this. I did a challenge webinar a week ago or so, and I really drove home the point that it's hard, but you need to get comfortable with losing. You need to. You know, nobody's 100%, nobody's 90%. You know, you need to be okay with losing, and the only way to do that, you got to have losing trades. I mean, again, Steven was losing for 10 months.
More than a year.
Okay,
every single month.
but he stuck with it, and now he knows that losing is part of the game.
And just last thing, like when I'm losing like $10 in a trade, $15 in a trade, $20, and then when I figured the shit out, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to win $200, $300 on each trade. And when I was losing $10, $15. So you size up when you're winning, you size down when you're losing. So it's very mathematical. But Tools that you use. This is it's a very, very, very important one because I've been brought up on StocksToTrade. When I started trading, I was a StocksToTrade person, so I'm a bit spoiled in the fact that the SEC filings are there, the news are there, the obviously all of the chart data is there. What was the other thing that I use? I think is that it? And the scans, the 5-minute scan, stocks that have moved more than 3% in the last 5 minutes on more than 500,000 volume. This is a key scan that I use as well. I use StocksToTrade for everything basically.
And that's the point I want to make is that you should know, if you're getting ready to trade today, and this is the first time, hopefully you've checked out StocksToTrade, or even if you're using another platform, make sure you know the mechanics. You know how to run scans, you know how to enter orders, you know how to exit orders. I mean, if you're not familiar with your tools and you say you short some high flying stock and you're fumbling around to get out of that order, you enter the wrong order type, you put in a market order versus a limit order, you need to be familiar with your tools and it's how to configure them, how to add indicators, as well as optimizing them. And this, when I say tools, spreadsheets are part of that. And again, I think Stephen does a great job with tracking everything, putting everything in his tracking and tweaking as well. I mean, your spreadsheets are constantly modifying, right? Versus what they were a year ago.
Yeah. I wish I had more time to do it. And I should try, and when the market's a little bit quiet, I should try and update them when the market's open, but I just can't. I can't when the market's running. I cannot not watch it. Even though I'm watching it idly, I still have to watch it. I can't just switch off from it, and I wish I could, but I struggle with that. But yeah, the spreadsheets are evolving; they're always being updated. I'm always an overextended stock that's gapped down, and just a stock which is a failure of a company, a bad long-term chart which is gapped up on weak news 20-30%. They're the only two stocks that I track. So you've got to be familiar with your tools. You've got to be familiar with how to optimize them, but also just to say, like, this is not because tools and tracking, it relates to StocksToTrade a lot. I just want to say this is not an advert for StocksToTrade. If you want to try and use tools and track news and SEC filings and track charts without StocksToTrade, try it. See how well you do. See how easy it is, and then try StocksToTrade and just see what the difference is. Like, I'm not advertising anything. I'm just saying try both and see which one's easier and better.
Which again,
I don't have to say anything else.
Right. And again, obviously, we talk about it a lot. You probably saw it on the webpage. You're watching this. We do have a $1 trial. Try us out, see if we're better than others, and make your own decision.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying try and do it on Yahoo. Try and go on the SEC filings website, whatever the URL is. Try and follow the news and try and use a random charting program, and then try and use StocksToTrade and just see which one's better. Just see. But yeah, so that's all I have to say about that.
So we've come to the last of the 10 commandments of steady trading.
I'm surprised I've made it over without falling over. You've kept us sober for an hour.
Yep, you've got a very high tolerance. I will give you that. You Englishmen are known for that. So, this is, I think, again.
That was stupid. Carry on. Sorry, I'm doing Austin Powers again. I'm obsessed with Mike Carey, whatever his name is.
And this is actually another commandment that I think you, Stephen, have done a very, very good job of following and implementing.
Tim, you're like for being a hitter, you're like my biggest advocate. You're like me fan. I can't believe it. What's going on? I showed you that spreadsheet in that STT Pro thing.
Yeah.
Hey, but, he's not reckless. He's not reckless. He's good.
Remember, I kind of, I've coached a lot of youth sports. Obviously, I'm kind of a trading coach. What I'm doing, Stephen, is it's called coaching you up. Okay.
Yeah.
Even though, you don't sleep, you don't exercise, you eat like crap, you show up half drunk to the game. I'm still saying, I'm like, okay, Stephen, you're ready to go. Here we go. When I put you in the game, you're ready to go. So I'm trying to coach you up here. So
just put down the bottle. You're better than that, Stephen. You're better than that. You can still do it. Put down the bottle. No, it's working. It's working. We're surviving day by day.
Commandment number 10 is
Thou shalt run, but not faint. Go big early. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Go on. I've read the last one since you read the 9.
Nope. That is so. I actually, I want
Did I do
you.
okay?
Yes, you did. Yes. All right, I'm done giving you compliments. Now, I give you a couple compliments, and you start asking for compliments. But no, I think you've done. Again, we'll finish on this one. That you took the long, the long view of this. One of the I always use this. You'll hear me say this probably a million times on the podcast, but one of the bad things about trading is you can open a trading account with $500. You can get a $200 laptop and you can be trading today. There is nothing to stop you from risking all of your money. Brokers will let you do it. They won't stop you.
They'll encourage you.
They'll encourage you, yeah. But what I really respect about what you've done is, again, I go back to your first videos a year plus. You're like, I'm going to try the challenge for a year. I'm going to document it all. You didn't come on those videos and say, I'm going to make 10 grand this month, which you see, you'll see that on YouTube.
We'll do it, yeah.
Yeah. You'll see guys that are like, I got 30 grand to trade. I'm going to double my money this month, and they disappear.
Yeah.
They disappear, of course.
And that's the real thing. And I've seen a lot of people try and replicate what the trading videos that I've done, and people make wild claims and no one sticks to it. And people are like, oh, you're not worried that someone else is going to take up and try and do what you've done? I'm like, no, not really, because I don't think many people will do it. Like, I don't think many people have got the discipline to do it.
Yeah, you see that all the time there. It kind of reminds me of you challenging me on the rower. It was like you were gung ho for like 2 days and then you forgot about it.
The thing is though, and I guess this is what it comes down to with trading. I wouldn't say I'm addicted to it, but it's not trading. It's self-improvement.
Yes.
It's like you being better than the day before, the week before, and it's financially related, and you can do it from anywhere in the world, and it opens doors, and it's a lot of money if you're successful. There's so many pluses to being better at this. Where beating you on the rower, yeah, I'll have a beer and I'll celebrate and I'll make a joke on the podcast, but there's not many real rewards for it. Do you know what I mean? I would love to see your face when I beat you. I would love to tell you and see your face, but other than that.
But again, that's the final of the 10 commandments, and I think that is ultimately you need to take all 9 and then apply it to number 10 would be the best way I would put it. Prepare, take care of yourself, be consistent, do journal, refine your tools, all of these things.
You've got to do them all though. These aren't nice to haves. These are necessities. Yep. These are essentials. You have to do every single one of them.
And then ultimately apply it and have, a long-term view. Don't expect to double your money next week. Some people do it, some people do, but the majority won't. And if you've got that short mindset of it being some sort of get rich quick scheme or something, it isn't. It's a grind. It's a marathon. And the most, and it's hard. Yeah, it's hard, and that's why I think you have to follow all of these ultimately to be successful, because there may be no harder pursuit out there other than,
it's very difficult. But
yeah.
Do you know what the crazy thing is though, as well though? Like, I'll just say like, when I just started in the challenge, I was a couple of months in, 3 months in, and I remember emailing Tim Sykes and saying, Tim, this is not working. Like, no, I never said I was going to quit. I said, Tim, I'm just not getting anywhere. And Tim Sykes said, stick in, keep on learning at the pace you're learning, and I promise you will be successful. He said, I promise you. And then the first thing that you said to me when I spoke to you on Skype and we're starting to talk about the Steady Trade podcast, you said, Stephen, I know you're not going to, but just don't quit. Right? And now I'm back-to-back green months. It's looking really good. And I know there's not an 11th commandment, but I just like, if someone believes in you, because it's hard to believe in yourself. It's hard. But if someone can believe in you, and I think, well, if Tim Bone thinks I'm going to do it and Sykes thinks I'm going to do it, then I just should close my eyes, put the graft in and get there. Graft means hard work. But you need someone to believe in you.
Well, and I think, remember Commandment 8, thou shalt befriend and interact with other traders. Exactly. I think you touched on that one and made the, validated it. So
Yeah, but I just want people to know, because it's so difficult to believe in yourself when you're going down this dark path of losing. You can do it with the right education, and if you actually are clocking in 4 hours, if you're looking at your watch and thinking, I studied 4 hours today, and it's good educational material, like it's from us, it's from STT Pro, it's from Sykes, you can do it. You've just got to believe. It sounds a bit sentimental and like I'm hungover, which I am from yesterday, but I just want people to believe. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I think, I hope that the Steady Trade podcast fills just a small, can contribute a little bit to that. I mean, obviously, Stephen and I like to have a little fun, but, ultimately we're about ideally making you a better trader, making you grow and evolve and learn as much as possible. And because of that, we're excited. This is the final episode of season 2. Keep in mind, if you're listening to this the day it was released, we will be selecting the winners tomorrow. Would be December 12th. Again, this episode will be released on December 11th. So tomorrow on December 12th, between noon and 1 p.m. Eastern, have your phone ready on. We chose alternates. We give you one call. If you don't answer, we go on to the other alternates. So have your phone on and ready tomorrow, December 12th between noon and 1 p.m. Eastern. And also, part of trying to make this podcast the most useful and best way to improve your trading, we are now moving away from the season model. I talked about it in the beginning. Many of you were like, the worst part about the Steady Trade podcast is the breaks. So we are actually going to move away from the season model, and we will be publishing episodes on a regular basis, as well as doing live events on Friday.
Eventually, but not quite yet.
So thanks again for listening. And Stephen, what did you think of season 2?
I thought it was a blast, and I'm excited about going to the live thing, because I think in season 1 we really give the fundamentals, and I think in season 2 we started inspiring people and showing that it was possible with Docs, with Roland, to show these real life examples, and we notched the education levels up a little bit. And I think for season 3, people are starting to get ready to see it live, and people are starting to get ready to see real life examples, some real technical analysis that we can do if we do it live, looking at the chart patterns, you from a stubborn, boring, long perspective, me from the more aggressive, exciting, young, dynamic, short perspective. I think I'm pumped up. I'm very excited. I think it'll be a nice Christmas special. I think it'll be a nice run into the new year to get some live stuff done. And I'm pumped as always to go steady, but to run with it.
Hi, this is Nathan from San Jose, California, and I like to drive into work while listening to Steven and Tim on the Steady Trade podcast until I fired my boss and made myself my own. You too can register to win real actual prizes at their website, SteadyTrade.com, and make steady trading a real-time gig. If you really like what you hear, give the podcast a 5-star rating, write a glowing review on iTunes. I did, and this is how we say goodbye in the Silicon Valley. See you next time.